Let's look at a couple of back four issues that we seem to have pretty often. We are in attack and our player has the ball here, and our back line is lazy getting out, and so there's a wide gap between our back four and our midfield. So this is 18 yards, this is probably 20 or so yards between the nearest midfield player, and sometimes it's worse than that. In that, I call it a channel, you will have at least one of the opponent's front players in that channel. So when the ball gets turned over, now blue has it and they pass out here and they pass in here. That pass here is uncontested because our back line isn't up, keeping that line spacing correct between the back four and the midfield. It needs to be tight. So when we have the ball here, if we hurry and get up to support at least to this edge of the circle, and we're up in here, it tightens up this channel, and when the ball gets turned over here and gets played in, we can have a player, as the ball travels, we travel, and then we can contest this instead of having it uncontested and allowing this player to turn and face us with lots of time and space and maybe a runner and the ball goes. All we have to do is keep our line spacing better, and then we can contest these balls in. That issue happens a lot. The other one that happens, not as frequent but still quite a bit, is that if the ball is here and this player is in good marking position, because this player is goal side, nearer to the goal that you're defending, and ball side, closer to the ball than the player you're marking, this is pretty good position. But if this ball gets knocked back here, over here, and somehow winds up here, very often this player never moves. And then we have a situation where this player is closer to the ball than this player, making it harder to confront a pass in. A short pass here is pretty easy, whereas if we're more like this, then it's a much tougher pass for this player to make. So that's one other issue that crops up. The other thing is sometimes our shape in the back, we don't get that hockey stick shape. When the ball goes out here wide, we want this player out a little wider than the player with the ball, which forces this player to play in, and then we should have tight cover in here. So there's your hockey stick. And we're forcing this player to play toward our cover players, our help. And we tend to lose that most of the time because this ball goes back and eventually it winds up over here, and then we slide and this player will be late, leaving a gap, or maybe this player is late and the two of them, and we have a big gap here. What we want to have happen, if we can get it, is as this ball is being played out here and this player starts to make that run, as you're running to your left, you look back to your right and make this player remind to come with, and we all slide over. So we help each other get into the correct shape. And so again, we would be outside here, with about 6 or 7 yards off, and then flattened out the back three. And if this player wants to, you can ask this midfielder to drop back to help cover. I've had that question fairly often lately about whether the midfielder should join the back line. It's kind of up to the back. If the back really wants the midfielder to help out and come in, it's okay for the midfielder. We don't want a bunch of midfielders back in the back line because we want to be able to win the ball and have people to play it forward too. So it's kind of an iffy subject as to, there's no hard, fast rule. Most of the time, if the back four only has to deal with the two forwards, we don't really need a midfielder to drop back in. If this midfielder from the opponent goes past, then definitely the outside mid has to get back. So the rule is that we're tracking vertical runs with the mark that, the player that we're supposed to be defending with, tracking with the opponent's player.